and why we're doing it. That's the first part. Second, what are the various kinds of tests that we need to prepare for? And third, why should you prepare for it? After which we can go ahead and start looking at why these kind of things are actually tested by the various companies, and what are the various kinds of problems that we might face, and how we would like to overcome them during the training program. This is the first class in a series of sessions. My name is Aditya Lanka. I'm one of the directors at Conduira Online. I take care of technology. So what exactly is aptitude? Aptitude is the ability to perform a task without having any prior knowledge. What it means is, you might be a BCom graduate, you might be a BSc graduate, you might be a BTech graduate, but most of what you do when you join a company is going to be different from whatever you've learned as part of your degree course. Even if it is a BCom or BSc or BTech or a BA, it doesn't matter. What is taught in a college and what is needed in an office when you go and join there are essentially different. Then why do you study for 3 years in college? What you're supposed to build is called aptitude, the ability to learn something new, to perform something, even if it is something new for you, even if you've not done something like that earlier. Now, is that easy? Yeah, it is going to be easy once you get used to it slightly. Now, what kind of aptitude areas are we looking at? One of the first and most important areas is something called numerical ability. In this particular area, we are looking at interpreting the data, interpreting what we have, information that we have, in order to draw a few conclusions. And we're also looking at basic arithmetic, because when you start working in the real world, you will start getting information, and your job is to be able to use that information to take the action. Now, is it important? Answer is yes. Is it important when if you're working in a software company? Yeah, it's important. It's important whether you work in a BPO. It's important irrespective of what you do, because this is a test of being able to take a situation and apply what we already know. And it's not one field specific. It's useful across the board everywhere. Now, while numerical ability or quantitative ability is one side, the other side is something called the reasoning ability. The ability to recognize shapes, patterns, solve simple puzzles, understand a set of equations and set of instructions and try to adhere to them. That's where seating arrangements come in. And then there's some times where you need to notice a pattern. Let us say there is some output coming in, say it is 1 on first day, 2 on second day, 3 on Thursday. It's obvious that it's very likely going to be 4 on the fourth day. That ability to predict is an ability to notice a pattern is going to be a very critical skill when you're working. So reasoning ability is one of those areas which is tested to see if you have the ability to apply common sense in a professional scenario. Today, because they can't put you in front of a customer and see this, they are going to give you puzzles as part of the written test. It's going to help them, the company, in testing your problem solving skills, your ability to come to a conclusion, and your ability to understand the important data. Today, we are living in an age where we have an abundance of data. Wherever you go, you'll get a lot of data. And the good employees are the ones who notice, okay, this information is important, this information is useless. Let's come back to our own example. If you take a textbook has lots of information, 500 pages, 600 pages. But a person who is a topper does not need to learn all the 600 pages. The important thing that they do is to notice that out of these 600 pages, these 50 or 60 pages are more important. And being able to do that is actually a high value skill. It is not just about somehow managing to pass an exam, it's actually a very important life skill. Friends, I am speaking in English because I realize that for many of us, speaking in English is a problem. My mother tongue is Telugu, my education was in Telugu. If you want, I can take the entire session today in Telugu, but I would like you to put in a little bit of effort. See if you can follow the session just completely in English because that can help you prepare for your future. However, in case there's an issue, please speak to your coordinators. I don't mind speaking in Telugu. It's my mother tongue. I speak in Telugu every day with my family. But this is an opportunity for us to expose ourselves to higher levels of language and getting used to English in a professional setting. So let us also try if we can do something using only English. But when I start teaching concepts, let's say in mathematics or reasoning, I'm definitely going to use a bit of Telugu so that it becomes easier for people to start understanding it. Now, moving forward, third major area is verbal ability. Yes, on one hand, we're speaking about English, and there it is. What is this entire area of verbal ability? The ability to use words. Words in which language? We're talking about English language. Your communication skill is one part. We are looking at grammar, which ensures that what you speak and what somebody else understands it are the same. Sometimes, if our language is bad, we want to say something, but the person on the other side will think of it as something very different. And if there is a gap like this, we might end up committing huge mistakes as part of our work. Your sentences can be understood. Similarly, reading comprehension. Don't think of it as of something very different. Today, when you join a company, you will find somebody sending you a mail. You will need to be able to read that mail, understand, okay, what are they explaining? Is there something that you need to do? What is it that the other person is promising to do? If you don't understand that from an email, it's going to be difficult, right? So the entire idea behind reading comprehension is making sure that you understand whatever is needed. Then comes the area like analogies and vocabulary, which are auxiliary skills, the extra skills which will make your language significantly more useful. And why all this focus on communication again? That's because we're going to work in a team environment. And the moment you have a team, you have more than one person. And the second person might not be from the same district as yours, same state as yours, or same language as yours. So if you have somebody from Andhra and somebody from Bihar sitting together and working in a team, you can't speak in Hindi or Telugu because that would be inconvenient for the other person. So the best way of doing it is to use a common language, which in corporate India today is mostly English. Then we have a lot of our clients, and for most of our companies, the clients are not in India. Most of the clients are in either US or Europe, where again English language becomes the main medium for communication. So today, there will be very few companies which take somebody without communication skills. So if there's one area which is 200% important for your journey to get a job, it is going to be communication. Mathematics is something you might have learned in school. English, yeah, we did learn in school, but we might not have used it in school, and certainly not for communication. So out of the three areas, the one huge area that you will need to emphasize on is verbal ability. Now, what can you do with all the aptitude training? Because we're going to conduct about 30 classes like this. What is the purpose of these classes? Why is Aditya Lanka, one of the directors of Conduira, sitting here? The reason is today in a job market which is very volatile, in a market where all the companies you want might not come and take you from the college, where you might need to approach the companies through various other channels. You will need to go and present yourself well in front of the company. The very first step, no HR person is going to look at you and say, hey, I like you. They will say, take an aptitude test. We will speak to you only after you clear this test. This test will have questions on numerical ability, it has questions on reasoning ability, it has questions on verbal ability. And most companies will put in some cutoff saying, okay, minimum you need to get these many marks in each of these sections. After that is when the interviews might start. Then, if let us say one person is scoring say 50 marks in the aptitude test, one more person is scoring 30 marks. Even if I don't know anything about these persons, I can say that the person who scored 50 marks is a person who has invested a lot of effort into doing it. You don't get 50 marks just like that. If somebody is scoring those marks, it means that he or she has put in a lot of effort. So you can prove that you are a proactive person by scoring well in this particular area. And a person who is sincere about his career, a person who works sincerely to get the job is also a person who might do the job well. If you don't care about the job even before you get the job, it's going to be difficult for the companies. So people with a high aptitude score are going to be seen as people who are willing to work hard. And that is how you're going to get your dream jobs. So let's get started with this journey from here. What kind of companies use aptitude tests? Okay, here are a few examples. Most of these are coming in from the areas of software, technology, ITES, and BPOs. And you see pretty much every company you think about, starting from companies like Microsoft or Google or Amazon or okay, Facebook is not here, but even Facebook, or Indian giants like TCS or Cognizant or Tech Mahindra or Infosys, all these companies require you to take the aptitude test. Not an exception. Now, most of us have a dream job as one of these companies. Or you might say, hey, why these companies? I would like to go and get a government job. But how do you get the government job? The government jobs today are also going to have an aptitude test. Today, if you want to get a bank job, you will need to either take an IBPS test. IBPS is the name of the institute. Or you might need to take the individual test conducted by various banks like SBI. And what do they contain? Exactly the same topics: aptitude, numerical ability, reasoning ability, verbal ability, and sometimes general knowledge. So that would be the route even if you want a government job. So some people say, sir, why only these? I have government jobs in PSUs. Suppose you're an engineer, you can say, sir, I can also write GATE. But today even GATE has the same sections. So make sure that this is one area you're going to consolidate. It does not matter whether you're in the first year or final year. There's never a wrong time to do this. Go ahead, finish off one big area, aptitude, and you can be a lot more peaceful after that, knowing that yes, you've worked very hard for getting a job. And that, my friends, is not a joke in today's competitive world. And you need to thank Apsdc for helping you get through this. Now, when I see a candidate, when I meet candidates, because I've been here in this industry for more than 10 years now. When I first meet a candidate, people come around and say, sir, I'm weak at mathematics. Sir, see, I took BCom because I don't like mathematics. Friends, that's not true. You might not like mathematics, but you're not bad at mathematics. The fact of the matter is, you did pass 10th class. And whoever has passed 10th class mathematics should be able to clear the aptitude exams by putting in a little effort. The way you can pass 10th class, you can also pass these exams. A lot of people are worried about mathematics, particularly in the various degree colleges that I went through. And all of them are actually very, very decent as long as they're willing to open their eyes to it. So math is not something to be scared about. This is a world of opportunity. Also remember that Andhra Pradesh math syllabus is actually at a higher level than other states. It means, compared to the expected paper, your prior knowledge, whatever you learned in 8th class and 9th class, is actually very helpful. It's actually at a higher level. You might not be 100%, you might not be James Bond at it, but whatever you know, if you can revise, it can help you. Then comes the second problem. I cannot speak or read or write English. Yeah, this is a genuine worry for somebody who has not used it. But it does not mean that I cannot. It's just that I did not do it till now. Till now, when we go to college, we don't speak English. Yeah, we do write answers in English in the exam, but we generally don't speak in English. And many people feel that okay, this is a problem, mostly by people coming in from a non-English medium school or even in English medium schools where English is not spoken much, which means for a lot of us, this is a problem. Let me use a bit of Telugu here. ఇది ఇంగ్లీష్ రాకపోవడం కాదమ్మా, మనకి ఇంగ్లీష్ వచ్చు, మనం ఏ రోజు వాడలేదు కనుక మనం వాడలేమేమో అని మనకు భయం. ఒకవేళ మనం వాడడం స్టార్ట్ చేస్తే, మనం చిన్నప్పటి నుంచి తెలుగు వచ్చా, పుట్టినప్పుడు ఏ భాష రాదు, తెలుగు నేర్చుకున్నాం, ఇంగ్లీష్ నేర్చుకున్నాం, తెలుగు రోజు వాడాము, ఇంగ్లీష్ ఏ రోజు వాడలేదు. ఒకసారి వాడామంటే ఇంగ్లీష్ కూడా తెలుగులోనే మాట్లాడగలుగుతాం. ఎవరెవరి గురించి కాదు, నేనే ఇంజనీరింగ్ చదివేటప్పుడు నాకు కూడా ఇంగ్లీష్ రాదు, మాట్లాడడం అంటే భయం వేసేది. ఫస్ట్ టైం మాట్లాడమంటే నా వణుకొచ్చి చెమట్లు వచ్చేసేది. అంటే ఇంగ్లీష్ మాట్లాడడం రాదా నాకు? అప్పటికి రాదు, తర్వాత నేర్చుకుంటే వచ్చింది కదా. The same student, somebody who was afraid of English, 6 months or 1 year later, I did manage to write an exam called CAT. I did manage to get a seat in IIM Calcutta. Yes, I did not know much English when I started my preparation, but when I finished my preparation, my English was rock solid because it does not take us much time. Our basics are very, very strong. Do you know something? There's an exam called TOEFL, Test of English as a Foreign Language. Across the world, when they conduct this exam, the highest score is not by students of UK, it's not by students of US. The highest score is actually by the takers of English. And I'm not just takers from India. I'm not just talking about toppers. The average score for Indians in TOEFL is higher than the average score for people like students of UK, students of USA, or students of Canada. Because our fundamental knowledge of English, whatever we learned in school, is actually very strong. We don't have the confidence, we don't have the practice, but all of this is a matter of confidence. And we will start putting in various practices in place to ensure that this confidence gets built. But trust me, your English is not inferior. Your English is better than the English for most of the people across the world. And I'm even speaking about Western countries and English speaking countries. Now, when it comes to reasoning, people say, hey, I did not ever solve a puzzle. Okay, if you did not solve it till now, start it now. Don't worry so much. It's not tough. This is one of the most enjoyable areas in your entire student life. Preparing for aptitude is an area when you realize that, hey, my marks might be 50%, my marks might be 60%, but I am good. And you will get that realization by the time you're done with this course. We at Conduira Online are focused on one thing. We want to help students. We want to help the job aspirants to the best of our abilities. And what would that be? We will start conducting a few free sessions thanks to Apsdc, where we can help the students. One of the important things in today's world is being able to learn things online. And learning online does not mean randomly browsing on YouTube. Because many of our colleges might be in rural places, suburban places, where it might be difficult for very good faculty to show up every day. So we said, okay, let us teach people how to learn online. We have experts from IIMs, I'm one of those, and we have an entire team based on it. And we'll cover all the aptitude sessions with quantitative aptitude, verbal aptitude, reasoning ability everywhere, so that you will build a solid knowledge base, and you're going to learn one important skill, which is learning things online. Why do people learn things online? It's because the best of the best teachers in this world might not be available inside the four walls of your classroom, but they will be available on your telephone screen. So being able to learn new things online through an online learning methodology is a very long-term useful skill. And that's one of the skills that we're planning to build. So with this, let's take up one small area. Today I don't plan to take a very long session. So let me take a small area to showcase what's going to happen. This is an area that we call coding, series, and odd man out. These are actually a group of topics. Today I'm going to give you a small intro about it so that you get ready. Now here we have a series and we have a missing term here. The question is simple. What should come in that missing term? If I look at the series here, it's very confusing. Okay, we have 8 and then we have 12. How much is the gap here? The gap is 4. Then we have a gap here which is 2, because only from 12 to 14 is just a jump of 2. Now 14 to 18 is a gap of 4 again, and here we have a gap of 2. Again the gap is 4. Do you notice a pattern? Yes, some number is being added. Is the same number every time? No, alternate. One time 4 is being added, next time 2. Again 4, again 2, again 4. So this time here I need to add 2. So what would be the number here? 24 plus 2, that is 26. What is it based on? This is based on addition. What is this subject area called? This is called series. Is it very difficult? No, it is not difficult. I'm sure all of you have understood this. Is it used in the exams? Yes. Questions at this level also appear in many exams because they want students who can use their knowledge. Now let us look at this gap here. Here the gap is 20, 840 and 820, the gap is 20. It's a decrease, so let me put a minus 20. This time around 820 to 780 also is a gap. This is again a decrease, and this time the gap is minus 40. After this year, the gap is minus 80, 780 to 700, and 700 to 540, the gap is minus 160. So the gap is not constant. The gap is not alternating. Here the gap is doubling. So after 160, the next time around, the gap would be 320. And of course with a minus sign. So what will be the number that will come here? It will be 540 minus 320, which is 220. Now, what is this subject again? This is an area called series, where we are looking for missing terms. Some numbers are printed, there is a dash. We need to look at the pattern and we need to decide what can come in the gap. Let us see if we have one more example like this. Okay, here we have again a set of numbers 8, 18, 29, 42, 58 and so on. Those attending these sessions from tomorrow onwards, do make sure that you have a paper and pen in hand so that when you see a question like this, you will be able to take it for yourselves. In case you have a paper and pen today, please make sure that you're going to give it a chance. Give it a try before I speak. So what is our first step as per our method? The first step that we have is to look at the gap. 8 to 18 increases 10. 18 to 29, the gap is 11. 29 to 42. What is 42 minus 29? 42 minus 29 is 13. Then we have 42 to 58. This gap is 16. Wait, I don't understand anything. I thought it's going to be a simple problem, but things don't look simple. I have a new set of numbers here: 10, 11, 13, and 16. I don't know what to do with them. What we'll do is we'll take the gap once again. Here the gap is 1, here the gap is 2, here the gap is 3. So the next time after this, if I write a term here, the gap would be 4. So what would be the number here? The number here would be 20. What is 20? From 58, if I take the next term, the gap is going to be 20. So what will be the number here? It would be 78. What is the concept? If finding the gap one time is not giving you the answer, finding it two times. But what should I do if I don't get the answer even after finding it two times? Try three times. Usually should get the answer within three times. Let us take down this question again. So we have 1000, we have 992, we have 965 and 901. What is the gap here? 1000 to 992, the gap is 8. 992 to 965. How much is the gap? The gap is 27. 965 to 901, the gap is 64. Of course, all of these with a minus sign because the numbers are decreasing. Do you know what are these 8, 27, 64 are? These are cubes. 8 is a 2 cube, 27 is a 3 cube, 64 is 4 cube. One of the other things that you need to learn, you will need to know some of the, at least the cubes of the first 10, 12 numbers. So what will be the next number after this? I need to know what is 5 cube. This is going to be 125. So here the gap is going to be 125. So from 901, if I remove 125, I'll get 706. So this would be our answer. Is that simple? I do believe it is simple, provided we're willing to think in this new direction. So what is the agenda here? We are looking at series. In addition based problem, we learnt one important method. What is the method called? It is called the method of differences. When you see a series of numbers, see what are the differences. If they don't make sense, see if you can do the subtraction one more time. Somewhere you will find a pattern, and once you find the pattern, you're done. Let us check one more set and see if we can apply something similar. Okay, again we have a set of numbers. Those who have paper and pen handy, please go ahead and start attempting it. In the meantime, let me also try doing it here. We have numbers 9, 40, 77, 118, 161. The first time gap is 31. If you notice it, my method is actually very consistent. The next time the gap is 37. Here the gap is that 41? And next time after this, the gap is 43, 31, 37, 41, and 42. I try to take the gap here. The gap here is 6. I take the gap here. The gap here is 4. This time around the gap here is 2. But what will be the next term? Now if I look at the pattern 6, 4, 2, what should come next is 0. But that does not look correct to me. There is a possibility that we are missing something. What we are missing is the observation on these numbers. Look at 31, 37, 41 and the 43. What kind of numbers are these? these were cubes. So after taking the differences, sometimes we need to observe what kind of numbers do we have with us. Here we have prime numbers. So what is a prime number after 43? Is 45 a prime number? No. So next prime number here is 47. So for me, the ideal answer here would be 161 plus 47. So this would be 208. Yes, I know it's not in the options because I was the one who designed the options. I wanted to teach you a couple of things here. Now, for this same question, one person can come back and say, hey, this is a prime numbers based question. So the answer should be 208. One more person can come and say, hey, this is a series based question. 6, 4, 2, next term is 0. It means here the number should not be 47. The number can be. Depending on the pattern, 208 is a correct answer. 204 is also a correct answer. Trust me, in the exam, they're only going to give one of these two. So if they give 208, mark 208. If they don't give 208 in the exam, mark 204. In fact, that was the reason why I had to make this question. To tell you that, okay, there is a possibility that the exam does not give you the option that you want. There are more than, if there is more than one way of thinking, the examiner might sometimes think slightly differently. But the good news is, the question will be taken by more than one person. So if there is ambiguity, they'll ensure that only one correct answer is present, the other one is not present. Now let us take up the next one. 1, 10, 33, 76, 145. What will become next? One thing is for sure, the numbers are increasing and they are increasing fast. 1 suddenly became 10. 10 became 33. 33 became 76. 76 became 145. Are they becoming bigger? Of course, yes. Let me see if I can take any differences. This is 9. This is 23. Okay, this is 43. And this time here it is 69. Okay, but these are big numbers. 9 and 23, the difference is 14. This time around the difference is 20. And the next time after this, the difference is 26. Here the gap is 6. Here the gap is 6. So I can go ahead and say, hey, the next time here if I want a term, this number should again have a gap of 6. So this number can be 32. Which means if I write a number here, this number would be 69 plus extra 32. So this should be 101. Which means after 145, I need to get 145 plus 101, which is 246. So I can mark that as the answer. What did I do? It's only difference based. But some people might be able to notice a pattern here. So if you can notice a pattern, it is wonderful news. But if you don't notice a pattern, that's absolutely all right. Now this particular set has something to do with the cubes of numbers. Now notice this number is actually 27 plus 6. We'll understand the 6 a little later. So this number is 64, that is 4 cube plus something more. How much more? We are looking at 12 more. And this number is 125 plus 20. And this number actually is 216 plus 30. So if you are very interested, you can notice that this number is 3. The third term is 3 cube plus 2 into 3. Fourth term is 4 cube plus 3 into 4. Fifth term here is 5 cube plus 4 into 5. Sixth term is 6 cube plus 5 into 6. Can I notice it? Yes. Is it easy to notice? No, it is not easy. Do I need to notice in the exam? Not at all necessary. Most of these questions can be solved by following the method. You don't need to actually identify something as big as Tn is equal to, if you ask a mathematician, they'll say the answer is Tn is equal to n cube plus n minus 1 into n. That actually is the expression. But does it matter to us? No. This is not a mathematical problem. This is a logic-based problem. You just need to know how are the differences shaping up. As long as you keep it simple, this is a simple exam, my friends. Let's move on. Okay, now we have a different kind of a series. We have 7 and 8. This is increasing. From 8, I suddenly got a 5. It's a decrease. 5 to 10 is increase. Again, decrease. Is there a pattern? If I notice carefully, I can say here is a plus 1, then there's a minus 3. Plus 5, no, I don't like the pattern. But if you notice carefully, 7, 5 and 3 are part of one series. 8, 10 and 12 are part of one more series. 7, 7 minus 2 is 5, 5 minus 2 is 3. So the next one here will be 3 minus 1. So sometimes they ask you what's a term after this. So 3 minus 2 here, so it should be 1. Now 8 and 10, the gap is 2. 10 to 12, again the gap is 2. So if I take one more number here, this would be 14. So what is the term here? This is 1 and this is 14. This is also a missing term based question where you have two series together. Instead of having only one series, now we have two together. Other than that, again, we don't have anything majorly different. Look at the next one. 2, 3, 7, 17, 36, 67. Okay, is it one series or two series? I don't know. Let us see what we have in terms of gaps. We have 2, 3, the gap is 1. Then I have 7 here, where the gap is 4. Good news. After 7, we have 17, and the gap is 10. I still don't know anything that's happening here. Then I have 36 here, where the gap is 19. Then I have 67, the gap is 29. Do we have any idea what is happening? I still don't know. Why do I not know? Because this look wrong. By the way, this is not 29, this is actually even. If there's one thing that can trouble us a lot, it is getting a calculation mistake of this nature. So what is the gap here? Here the gap is 3. 4 to 10, the gap is 6. 10 to 19, the gap is 9. 19 to 31, the gap is 12. Hey, suddenly we know these numbers. 3, 6, 9, 12. All these are multiples of 3. So the next time around, if I want to get something, this number should be 15. So the number here would be 31 plus 15. So this should be 46. So if I have 46 here, so from 67, this should be 67 plus 46. So we are looking at 113. Is this simple? If you actually follow the method, from the first question till the 8th question, we're still using the same method. What is it? Take the first term, take the second term, find the difference. Second term, third term, find the difference, and so on. If you get the differences first time, then take the differences second time, third time, till you get to notice a pattern. What kinds of patterns have we noticed till now? Sometimes the number is a constant. Sometimes we got a nice progression, 9, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Sometimes we got a set of cubes. Sometimes we got prime numbers. After taking a few the differences a couple of times, you will notice a pattern. And once you notice a pattern, it means you're going to notice marks added to your score. And this, my friends, is a very good news. So let's move and take up next step. So here they have terms 6, 15, 35, 77, 163. What should we do? Again, I'll take differences and see, hopefully, if I understand something. The 6 and 15, what is the gap? The gap is 9. 15 and 35, the gap is 20. 35 and 77, the gap is 42. Next time, we have 163 here. The gap is 80. Is it 80? Yep, 86. If I take the gap once more here, the gap here is 11. Next time the gap is 22. Next time the gap is 44. This gap is 44. 11, 22, 44. We are seeing that the gap is getting doubled. So if I see it next time here, this gap should be 88, which means this should be 86 plus 88. It's a big number. We're looking at 174 to be added. So from 163, the next number would be 163 plus 174. Here you don't even need to add these numbers. 3 and 4, you need an answer ending with 7. So this should be the answer. If you are in the exam, you don't actually need to do all the work. You can avoid it. So this is a question where finally the differences had a multiplication pattern in them. Now, is it how the question was framed? Actually, no. Let me show you something nice. There is a number 6. If I double it, what do I get? I get 12. So this number is 6 into 2 plus extra 3. Now, how do I get 35? This is 15 into 2, which is 30 plus extra 5. Now, how do I get 77? This is 35 into 2, which is 70 plus extra 7. Look at this extra 3, extra 5, now extra 7. Next time I believe extra would be 9, but let me check. So I need to look at 77 into 2, which is going to be 154 plus extra 9. That's as per our prediction. So the number coming later here would be 163 into 2 plus extra 11. 163 into 2 is 326 plus 11 is going to make it 337. So there are two ways of doing it. One, you can take differences and hope to observe something. Second, if you can notice a pattern right there, you can check. Now there's one more shortcut, or rather one more important observation. Always when you get a series, look at the bigger numbers. Here the bigger numbers are 77 and 163. And there's this bigger difference. It is almost as if the numbers are getting doubled. So wherever the question is based on multiplication, you should get the hint based on the biggest numbers. The smallest numbers might not always give nice hints like this. Now look at the next question. We have a number starting at 60, 120, 210, 315. There's a gap and then there is 393.75. Now when I give this question to my students, they will say, sir, look at it, it's a continuous series. There's one number missing somewhere in between. Your problem is to find the number in between. It should be between these two numbers looking at the pattern. There's only one answer, sir. I'll go ahead and mark that answer. I know of a lot of students who do this and this is a correct answer. Wonderful. So if you can do this, wonderful. But sometimes in the exam, they might give options which are slightly more difficult. So let me teach you the method. What is happening here? 60 to 120, what happened? We had multiplied with 2. If I look at it in terms of multiplication, this is multiplication with 2. 120 to 210, this is not a multiplication with 2. This is a multiplication with some other number. How do I find the number? If let us say A becomes B, what am I multiplying with? I'm always going to multiply with B by A. Because if I take A and multiply with B by A, I'll always cancel A and I'll get B as the answer. So how can A become B? when I multiply with P by A. So how did 60 become 120? When I multiply with 120 by 60, this is equal to 2. That's the first term. Next term, 210 by 120. This is going to be, if I cancel 3, I will get 7 by 4. The next time I have 315 by 210. Both of these are multiples of 105, so I got 3 by 2. Oh, I'm still not able to find a pattern, unfortunately. But we can equalize the denominators. Let us say it make the denominators 4. This 2 can be written as 8 by 4. This is 7 by 4. This 3 by 2 can be written as 6 by 4. This time around there is a nice pattern, in which case here the number should be multiplied with 5 by 4. So if I take 315 and multiply with 5 by 4, I am going to get a number here. And after this, if I take this number, after 5 by 4, I should multiply with 4 by. What is 4 by 4? 4 by 4 is 1. If I multiply with 1, I'll get the same number that I started with, which means the answer here should be the same number here, 393.75. Let us check out what is 315 into 5 by 4 or 315 into 1.25. This would be 315 plus 315 by 4. How much is 300 by 4? 300 by 4 is 75. Let's take it here. Then we have 15 by 4, which is 3.75. So this is where we get 393.75. And let me tell you a surprise. The answer for this question is not 350. The answer for this question is 393.75, because it is built on the multiplication pattern where the fractions were 8 by 4, 7 by 4, 6 by 4, 5 by 4, and finally 4 by 4. Yeah, it's a slightly tricky question. So don't dismiss options so easily. There might be a little more twist sometimes. But this is a question on series where we have a missing term. And in this particular case, we had a missing term in between. Earlier we had missing terms which were outside. Now we had a missing term which is in between in the series. Let us take the last two questions and then we'll stop it for the day. I believe we need to stop it approximately at 10 o'clock. So let's take up these two questions and then stop. 5 and 17. How much is the gap? I know the gap is 12. 5 to 17, the gap is 12. Next time around, the gap is 20. 37 to 113. The gap would be 63.76. It is a big gaps. 113 to 229. This is also a big gap. But how much is it? This is 116. Now, at this stage, you might note with the experience that we already have, you know that we might have a shortcut. Let me go ahead and start. Look at these two numbers, 113 and 229. Obviously, 229 is almost double. So let's start with what is the double of 113? 113 into 2 is actually 226. So the number that we have here is obtained by multiplying it with 2 and then adding 3. Take this number, multiply with 2 and then add 3 extra. Now look at 113. How to get 113? The first step that we did was we started from the biggest number and said this 229 is actually 113 into 2 plus extra 3. Now if I look at 113, one thing you need to realize is 37 into 3 is 111. That's an important number that you might want to remember. So how to get 113? We need to take the previous number, that is 37 into 3 and then add 2 extra. Now, how about 37 from 17? That's almost double. 17 into 2 is going to be 34. So this 37 number, whatever we have here, is actually 17 into 2 plus extra 3. And now this 17 itself is 5 into 3 plus 2. So we have something which is alternating. First time we have into 3 plus 2. Next time we have into 2 plus 3. Again we have into 3 plus 2. Then into 2 plus 3. So the next time would be into 3 plus 2. So the answer would be 229 into 3 and after that extra 2. So 200 into 3 is 600. So we look at answer in 600s. 29 into 3 is 87. So we look at 687 plus 2. So 689 should be our answer. Let us take up the last question on this session on series. We have again a series of numbers 3, 7, 16, 35, 74 and 53. One of the things to notice is the numbers are almost getting doubled. So start the same process again. 74 into 2 is 148. So this number 153 is 74 into 2, 148 plus extra 5. Now how to get 74 from 35? We will say 35 into 2 is 70. So 74 is 35 into 2 plus extra 4. Okay, now that seems interesting. Let us look at 16 into 2 is 32. So this 35 itself came from 16. It is 16 into 2 plus extra 3. So you see the pattern, there is an into 2 plus 3, into 2 plus 4, into 2 plus 5. So what will come here? This will be 153 into 2 plus extra 6. 153 into 2 would be 306 plus extra 6 will make it 312. With this, let's stop the question taking part. In case you have any question that you have forwarded to your uh, coordinators, I'll take a moment to have a look at them and see if we can discuss a bit for it. So in case any of you have any questions, please make please pass on this to your coordinators, and otherwise we'll take a leave here today. Tomorrow morning we'll meet again at 9 a.m. Until then, have a great time. Thank you very much.